Welcome everyone to the Bracers Guild podcast, where we play through all the Trails games for the first time. With me is my co-host here. Say hello.
Hello.
His name's Brandon. He's there in the corner. Don't mind him too much. He'll be alongside us in the journey. You're also the reader man, right? So I have a whip here in the corner. I can probably use it to get him motivated, but if all else fails, we have a controlled shock system in place. So
why? I'm not an experiment.
No, it's for motivational purposes.
I feel like
whenever you're down in the dumps.
I feel like this is just the shock dog experiment.
Yeah, we're renaming him to Pavlov. Whenever we give him food, we're gonna ring a bell.
When will it become Schrodinger?
Schrodinger? The Schrodinger or Schrodinger's cat? Or Schrodinger's monster?
You can never know because they both exist and don't exist. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't be neither.
Yeah, it depends on the rate of the decay of the cesium atom that exists within the box, I think. I think that's how it goes. Something along those lines.
I don't know. That man put a poison gas in a box with a cat and then expected... is this cat alive or dead? Who could say? I think that cat's dead, my dude.
Yeah. What's great, too, is that his formulation of that statement was originally to make fun of the idea of superposition. He's like, what, if you just put a cat in a box and you say, like, oh, it could be alive, it could be dead, therefore superposition. And then everybody's like, that's genius! He's like, wait, no.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Poor dude.
Yeah. I love that so much. When scientists are like, this is dumb. I'm going to show you exactly how dumb it is. And everybody's just like, oh, of course. That makes total sense.
And then forever, Japanese media has used this concept in every one of their stories.
Like superposition?
No, Schrodinger's cat.
Wait, really?
There is so many. It's like, oh, Schrodinger's cat. I'm checkbox. Ding.
Really? I don't think I've ever seen that. I've seen cats.
I've seen it so often.
Man, I gotta watch more smart anime. I just get distracted by cat girls and men getting stabbed repeatedly over and over and then regenerating just to get stabbed in a different way every single time, learning only how to get a little bit better piece by piece until eventually they just try so many times that they can't possibly die because they've seen every single possible way in which something could go bad, and then just something kind of happens to be okay. But it's not really good, but it's okay, but it's fine.
I mean, that's a base show, so yes.
That's true, yeah. But anyway, yes, we are
Time
not
loops is not the
about...
discussion of this this chapter, even though it feels like I'm in one constantly.
Zeiss's chapter feels kind of pointless in a way. Like this whole chapter basically felt like, hey, meet this guy.
Nothing.
And that is it.
Happened. That's the only thought I had this entire time. I was like, okay, we got build up, and filler chapter. Not even like the same filler chapter as chapter 2. It's like
chapter
nothing.
2 at least had lore on us. Chapter 3 was just like, look, Tita's cute, and she's just in a corner tap dancing.
And I feel like with your playthrough, it doesn't even like. I feel like there's like a more like resonant. There's an arc that kind of like finishes in this game if you choose Agate. With the whole Tita and Agate thing. Yeah. But you have Cheryl.
Yeah, on my playthrough, Agate just kind of appears for half a second and then buggers off for a bit after calling Tita short stuff 3 or 4 times.
We start back in the good old Rouen, where I think we left somewhere. I don't care.
Yeah, it was with Blue. He was going my evil plan. And then Kevin just about got caught.
Oh yeah, dumb dude.
Yeah.
Dumb man, sing me a man, do. The gang
use Christianity to kill aliens, I guess, if that's where this game is going. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
The gang decides to head over to Zeiss, but before they can leave, they have a sweet send-off scene between them and the orphans and the rest of the Rouen gang professor even shows up. Like,
Yeah, that's
bro,
wild.
is it school in session or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, dude, it's like Jill and Hans, like, yeah, sure. And then the orphans and matron, absolutely. And then the fucking dean comes out, and I'm like, okay, full stop. Wait a goddamn second.
What's going
Why?
on here? We got the whole Ava crew clapping at us.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. This is like a and then they clapped story, except it's just like fucking I bought tickets. That's the prefix to the whole joke.
We're leaving. I remember something about like, I hope you find Joshua soon or something with
Yeah,
that.
from the kid. It
Yeah.
was a redhead dude. What's his name? Tommy?
Uh
I don't know. I've got it somewhere here.
Clem.
Oh, Clem. Yes. Yeah. And Estelle just kind of like freezes for a moment. It's like, oh, thanks.
Thanks. So get on right on that.
Yeah.
Then you leave in the sky and you talk to your you can talk to your fellow peeps. The agate slash Shara combo, and then oh my god, Chloe and Olivier. I first talked to Olivier first because I think you start in the ship,
Yeah.
right? You see Olivier sitting down in like a first class area with no one around him. He's driven everybody away from him with a bottle of wine in his hand. It's like, ooh.
You walk in and this stewardess is just like he's just the worst.
I didn't write down all the conversation because it's just Olivier things. It's Olivier being Olivier.
Yeah.
Enough said, really.
The important part is that on the second time of having the conversation with him, because the first conversation is just like, hey, you're in love with Joshua. I don't get in like I want to see you reunited or whatever. Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah,
It's
he
a
said
side
something
story.
about the clothes as well. It's like, oh, you put on those clothes for him or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's total like himbo garbage. But the second time around, after yeah exactly. He has a book that's important for I guess collection purposes called Gambler's Jack Volume 3, which me and Brandon read, and it was just there's nothing. It's a nothing sandwich. It's just like, and then Jack played, I guess, pool or whatever.
Gambled really good.
He did. Jack said he just, he just
Jack,
gambled
be
all over the
quick.
place.
Jack, run off with the credit card to the gambling casino real quick.
Yeah,
That's a rhyme, right?
Apparently, and this is interesting from a lore perspective. Gambler's Jack Volume 3 is banned in the Empire, which
Don't
is
know
intriguing.
why. I guess gambling.
I have no idea why. I that's what I thought. Originally, I thought it was like smut because I thought Gambler's Jack Volume 3 was the story of Jack, a gambler, and this girl that he was like falling in love with or whatever the hell. But it just turns out that he just gets whooped by this random woman in like blackjack, and that's it. That's the story. It's like this whole volume is just like he was like the greatest gambler, but then she appeared, and then he lost, and then that's the end of the story. And you might be asking, like, well, why did he give you the book? Why is he like recommending it? He says something along the lines of like, this is a promotion of his interest in the love between Estelle and Joshua, so it inspires him thusly to give it to the pair. A book
and this
about
is why,
gambling.
and this is why I blocked it all out. I think I didn't even talk to him twice, so I didn't get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have everybody here, so if you don't,
Oh,
let me know.
I do. I have a little thing with Chloe. When talking to the Chloe, she calls for Sieg and then is like, whoop, over here. And then apparently she tells us that Sieg can fly faster than an orbital ship at a new measurement system, 1800 seagull per hour.
Selg, I think. Selg.
It'd be very funny if it's like seagull.
Selge. I legit thought she said Sieg. Like he was named after a speed. It's like calling your bird velocity. Like
I mean, that's a
or
pretty good name.
kilometers an hour. Can you imagine you name your bird kilometers an hour? Like,
Okay, kilometers
it's
an
a
hour is a
unit of
clunky one, but
measurement.
velocity is a pretty good one.
Velocity for a bird? No way, man.
I mean, it's
If I ever get caught catching, if you ever catch me like naming my next cat Meters, then we have issues.
Okay, meters and velocity are very different. Velocity just sounds cool.
Right. Either way, it's apparently twice as fast as a normal passenger ship, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fast bird.
Yeah. Didn't they say something too about like the sky ships have to travel on certain airways and sea can just kind of bypass that?
Something like that.
Hmm.
But the true difference is between Cher and Agate. I'm curious what Cher said.
Do you want me to go first then?
Yeah. Because
Okay,
mine
so
is
Shara,
very my conversation is very interesting.
yeah, I'm really curious about Agate in this chapter because Shara kind of was just there. Shara, being the lore dump that she is, basically was just like, man, it's so cool that we have airships. And then Estelle's like, why is that? And she's like, well, the Empire doesn't use airships. They use train networks.
Ooh.
And instead of anything else relevant, the Republic makes use of buses. just
Wait,
public
just
transportation.
Buses? Wait,
There's
did they
buses
say they
in the
said
Republic.
buses?
They said buses in the Calvard Republic. So you've got sky ships, you got trains, you got the local bus.
What they? I'm not surprised, but buses. That is such because there's such an image of like trails in the sky, like kind of like almost architecture of like the type of stuff that they're going for, but a bus.
Yep.
Oh man, Japan's really known for their buses.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Not their train network or anything. That I mean, it makes sense for Embrodia to have it because they're probably like steam power. And
Yeah, I'd imagine if anybody's like mechanical, it's the guys who have trains. Or trains and steam tanks that turn into mechs. Like those guys have to be like, we don't just use mechanical engines or combustion engines. We do it just to say fuck the environment. Like these are the kind of guys that wear skulls on their helmet and don't ask if they're the bad guys because they already know, you know?
Yeah, Embrodia just seems like it sucks.
The Empire, at the very minimum, is nationalistic and what's it called? Not idealistic. They have high religiosity, but I forgot. Fanatic? Is that the right word? Fundamentalist. That's it. They're fundamentalist and they're nationalist. That's minimum as far as I can tell so far. But on top of that, Shara also regards her first meeting with Zin. So she just talks about like, hey, she went to Calvard at some point to do a delivery for the Bracers Guild, and at that point, Zin kind of just appeared and was like, yo. And then from then on, they were the best of friends. And that's basically it. And Estelle makes some comments. I didn't write them down, so God knows what they were. And then the scene ends.
So that's honestly fun lore building. This is some character building, if I've ever seen from Agate. Okay, so in this conversation, Agate says something interesting, where he always feels like Cassius is still treating him like a fresh-faced punk. And he goes on to say, if Estelle was his son, she would be in a rebellious phase right now. He says, and I quote, "A father is a wall for a son to overcome." And this is Cassius we're talking about, so that's one big wall. That would lead to one hell of a complex. And then Estelle immediately asks if he's got a complex about her dad, and he does not respond. It's great. I love this conversation so much.
That's awesome.
That is just that is his entire mental state, right?
Yeah. You can tell
Boiled.
he's like getting a flashback to being in the forest screaming, "What do you mean?" all over again.
Yeah, it makes sense with, how he's been acting, especially around Cassius.
And then, do you have anybody else after that?
No,
For me, I just wrote down that we land in Liberal.
Well, yes, we are still in the content of Liberal. I doubt we I doubt Zeiss is in no man's land.
Yes, true. Yeah, okay,
uh,
well then fine. At this point, we land in Liberal, and specifically in Zeiss. I don't know
it,
why I wrote specifically Liberal.
when we arrive
We
in,
kind of get the layout of things, of what's exactly is going to happening. The very first thing, effectively, everybody's like, we're going to go to the Bracers Guild. Upon entering, immediately, Olivier looks at Kikilla, the
oh,
receptionist, and calls her an exotic woman.
you you skipped a major part.
We could get to that in a moment. I just
Okay.
want to point out that Olivier's first response to a woman from the California Republic is calling her an exotic woman. That's got to be the worst way to introduce yourself I have ever seen in my life.
But it's an Olivier way to say it.
Oh, 100%. You know for a fact that something like warmed up in her cold heart.
But upon immediately arriving in Zeiss, there's an immediate earthquake. And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
whoa, what? And then it goes away immediately.
I have a good quote for the earthquake, by the way.
What is it?
Attention, world. Please wait until I'm not on scaffolding before you shake again. Love, Estelle.
Nice.
I love her so much.
Now we just go to see Kilika. To be informed that similar earthquakes are happening at Wolf Fort, even though it was weaker into comparison to like the one that just happened now. It also, the earthquake before didn't hit the city at all, which is weird to say the
Yeah.
least. Of like consecrated earthquakes, like they can happen, I guess. And oh, and Olivier tries to do Olivier things with Kilika, and then she just ignores him, which is good. Good job, Kilika. You passed the test.
Unfortunately for her, I left him there eventually, so I can only imagine.
Yeah, so we say we're gonna go investigate it, but we're gonna visit the Russells first because we're in town.
Damn right. And my little sister's there, and I have to say hello.
Once we get in there, it's like, oh, where they are? In the lab, of course. Nerds. When they come
The
in,
moment we enter, too, Tita loses her shit.
oh yeah, no,
Like-
Tita sees a cell, cries, hug, immediate.
Uh-huh.
Then we go on to tell Russell about the trouble that they were having in Rouen with the projector with the new gospel, that whole crusade. Russell says something funny. It's like, "Oh damn, I had that in the pipeline as well."
I know. I was gonna. He's like, I had a theory about that. It was just about to be done. Like, what do you mean? You haven't
is
seen
like-
it for like fucking a million years.
It's just comical levels of like, come on, man. There's a limit to what you can invent before I can have some suspension of disbelief, but like the smartest man alive in every single industry known to man.
Right? Every single field. This is the same guy that invented airships, an electric pump, and antenna theory. Like, what the fuck? What's the correlation between any of those?
He'd be a smart guy.
Yeah.
Russell is convinced that the orbital shutdown phenomenon is not a shutdown of orbital devices that the gospel uses, because
It's kind of like a side effect.
it's a side effect to like the main thing. He says like the gospels seem to break the law of orbital physics as he understands them, and he doesn't really go into like what specifically what. It's just vaguely. It's just, I don't know. This breaks the laws of physics. We don't have a concrete thing for this, player. Just go with it. Take the smart
Yeah,
guy
but
as
I mean-
face value.
You can kind of guess it. at this point. Like, after the Phantom Thief basically spelled it out for you.
Yeah.
It just, as far as I'm aware, it just redirects orbital energy to make something bigger and stronger than it was before. So it's
Yeah,
just like a plus one.
Yeah, it just it both amplifies and nullifies, which is it just controls it basically just controls orbital stuff.
Yeah. It's the orbital.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, if Shadow was here, do you think he'd go orbital control whenever he used it? I'm so sorry.
No.
Moving on. Now we head to the factory.
One thing, another Agate thing. Agate worries about Tita, about the time Tita spends fiddling with machines at her age, and I wrote down old man Agate. I was like, she's not getting out a lot, just fiddling with machines.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then we can finally go to the factory, and I didn't explore, I guess, Zeiss as much as like the previous game, but this area is just so annoying to traverse. Like, every single step has a monster, and it's like so open. It's a nightmare.
Wait,
to
for what?
traverse.
Sorry?
For Zeiss's whole map,
Oh, yeah.
where you run into like everything in like half a second. It's better than like a hallway, but like it's just such an open map with like all stuff, and you have a line of 4 party members, so you're always going to get hit.
Yeah, and they jump you too. Like, they don't even just like leave you be. The mantises in particular will stop whatever they're doing, snap their neck 90 degrees, and then leap forward at you at like the speed of Selg. Or Sieg, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this area, especially since there's like 2 paths you have to go through, and then you always have to go through the town to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Not fun. But anyways, we go to the gate, or no, the fort.
Before we go to Wolf Fort, we missed a couple things.
Oh yeah, we got some side quest dealios.
No, not necessarily. There is a point where you have the opportunity to talk to an NPC, and the whole point of the NPC is to get a whole grand total of, drumroll please, 1 bracer point. And if you don't talk to this person, arbitrarily, you never get that point. The entire purpose is to get a hint, and that's it, about who the bad guy is for this chapter. So
It's
entering
what do
the
you mean,
third floor.
What do you mean a hint? What do you?
Yep. You'll hear it. You'll hear it.
What do you mean? There's like in this fort.
No. It's just hold
or
on a
in
second.
town.
So you enter the 3rd floor of the Orbital Factory, right?
Oh my god!
You turn left.
There? Why?
And inside is Maintenance Chief Gustav and an engineer looking over a new orbital weapon. In that case, they kind of ramble on about how Tita has just been like fangirling us constantly.
Okay.
And this isn't super important, but during this conversation, there's a very special NPC who mentions the earthquake doesn't look similar to other readings. And then there is a person... Oh, why did I write that down? Okay, that might have to be edited out. Regardless. So, the Tita thing is one thing, and then you go down into the basement and you go out into Chaldea Tunnel, and you talk to one maintenance chief guy, and he's just... Oh yeah, I saw a dude in glasses.
Oh yeah,
down here.
I talked to that dude as well. I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know.
It's just an arbitrary point, and that's it.
Don't you have to meet with that dude for a side quest? I think that's why I talked to him.
Nope, he's just there. There's a point where you can talk to him a second time. You have to meet him in the main quest, I think, at one point to ask for directions or something, or side quest, something like that.
I think that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. But you have to talk to him a second time.
It's not entirely, because like I also talked to that dude because I think I was told to. So it's not entirely. That is funny though that you get a person point for talking to this dude. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like it's very funny because he just says the exact same thing that everybody else says, but just earlier.
Yeah. And then another special point is once you go to the 3rd floor. This is what I was trying to do, but I went this in a weird order with my notes. there is a side quest involving Olivier with a gun. So look out.
Yeah, this one
You
sucks.
you give him the gun, and they're trying to determine whether or not Olivier can actually use a gun, because the scientist dude is not impressed because Olivier is being Olivier. And Estelle has another brilliant quote. In really small text, sure, he might be in really big text, total weirdo. Really small text, but his skill with a gun is legit.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Okay, now we leave for Wolf Fortress.
Yes.
First things first, we begin questioning the CWO about the earthquake itself. And I wrote down exactly what he says. He says, the earthquake occurred at 5 p.m. 3 days ago. It was weak, pathetic, and it lasted a total of 10 seconds.
Yeah, only lasted 10 seconds and only affected this and no other areas, like a localized earthquake.
After the earthquake occurred, he contacted Leaston Fortress, and that's how he confirmed that there was no contact whatsoever. He also contacted Zeiss, and yeah, basically. Then, after that, he's just basically like, look, my men don't tell me things because I'm scary. This is, for some reason, not a problem. So we're going to have you check on my behalf because my men are terrified of me. So just ask them questions. They'll tell you what they know. And then come back to me what you think.
Yeah, and this whole section just basically boils down to a tall man with a black suit and sunglasses came by the area.
Yep.
That's really all you get.
Yeah. I'm just going to double check, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
I think there is a character later. Yeah, there's a character later that's fun to talk about, but we'll
Yeah,
get to
I
her
know.
later.
I know the character.
The maid.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very funny. But before we can, before we leave, the guy, one of the guys, informs us that about an earthquake that just happened near Sackham's Gate. I don't know, Occam's Razor, but Sackham's Gate.
Sackham's Gate. God, what is it called even?
It's as something.
I just called
think
it the gate. Oh, Sandheim. Sandheim.
Sandheim. That's yeah.
Yeah.
I write these names down and then don't spell check them. Because I cannot be bothered to.
Luckily, once the Sandheim Gate thing happens, apparently we're just teleported.
Oh,
Like,
it's so
right there.
good.
It's so nice.
I'm just like, oh my god, you actually just go there because like, I wish there's so many more times in the game where it just teleported you to the place where you needed to go that you've already been to. That would help this game so much. Anyways, we jump on over there, and it looks like the quake was even more powerful than the last one, and lasted about 30 seconds 2 hours ago. Communication is either very slow, it seems, or we're just really slow getting there.
Every second in the game is actually like an hour in real life.
I mean, it makes sense. I guess it has to be the latter, because there's no way it's like, oh, we got informed about an earthquake 2 hours ago. It's like, what kind of chain of command is like that delayed with phones?
Within like a fairly close radius to each other.
Yeah, so it just takes us 2 hours to get there, which is kind of wild because that takes you like 2 minutes.
And the dude just screams at us like the moment we're there.
Oh yeah,
He's just
that
like,
dude.
"You guys are useless. What the hell? Get out of my fort." And Estelle's like, "We gotta do our job," and he's like, "Fine, just stay out of the way." And then he sends you on the way. He's like, "Go talk to Chelsea on the roof." And so most people, I think you probably went to Chelsea first.
They say to go to a guy in a closet first, if I remember correctly.
Really? Mine, he just says, "Go to Chelsea. He's on the roof."
I don't. Basically, this whole thing boils down to, before we get to the most important NPC, it's the same.
Absolutely.
It's the same guy with the glasses in the area. Ooh. But the most important thing is a maid saw him, and she thirsts over this dude after him saying just yo
Yo.
to her.
I literally wrote down, sunglasses dude is a Chad, grinned at the maid and said yo, and she got rizzed. she even says so much as to say, like, oh yeah, I saw him in the hallway, like, turn a corner, and so I wanted to, like, catch him. Like, I chased him, and I wanted to pin him. And then he went to the roof, so I went up there. There's nowhere else for him to go. I get up there, and he's gone. And I'm still waiting for him. I'm like, what is wrong with you? This man is clearly terrifying. And later on, she's like, he's aggressive. It's like, what do you mean? he's dressed in all black. And later, like, you see him, he looks like fucking, like, one of the Beatles, like, with his glasses.
Listen, people
this
yearn.
man's scary.
The children yearn for Final Fantasy VII Turks.
All I'm saying is she is hilarious and also very sad. Get your priorities together, random NPC maid.
Yeah, and due to this information of like, oh, this dude just kind of leaped off the wall, is like, just like Louis. Louis. So it's like, okay, this dude's Ouroboros for sure.
Look, leaping off a wall is a classic Ouroboros move. We saw it with Louis. We saw it with Joshua. We saw it with this guy. We saw it with the Phantom Thief. It's like, Joshua, it's the classic calling card. Joshua leapt off the side of the castle.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, he did, because he drugged Estelle and then he went backwards, and they said he leapt off the side.
That feels weird because like he went inside like the castle to drop her off and leave the note, and then he just goes back up and just leaps. I guess.
I guess. I don't know.
Being dramatic. I don't know.
It's Joshua. He's not exactly making the greatest choices right now, but he got a 6 scarf, so that's a pretty decent choice.
Yeah. We head back to the guild, where we see Tita and Russell together. Russell's got
back. Yes.
Russell's got an experiment for us. He wants to set up septium veins, measuring instruments in certain spots to monitor the flow of septium veins in real time.
I think you'll actually call fine. They're called parabolic tapered aperture devices.
You have said
I may have
words.
done some study. I may have done some study on the radar dishes once I learned they were a thing, because I was curious about some stuff, and I'll talk about it later. I also have some Shara lore related to this. Well, technically not related to this necessarily. So Shara, more Shara lore dropped. Everybody get ready. Shara, out of nowhere, basically just says, just letting you know, the East calls these dragon veins, and the Easterners build their city where the veins grow thickest. So, the entire world sits upon a dragon. But what does a dragon sit upon, Brandon?
Gold.
Another dragon, methinks. And that dragon must sit on another dragon, I think. It just goes down. It's dragons on dragons, Brandon.
Cool, bad dragon. Moving on.
Oh no. Shara dropping the bad dragon lore. Slight diversion, if you'll let me have it.
Go for it.
It is at this point I got a orbital called Septium Vein, which doesn't sound crazy on first viewing, because it's just, I think, 5 brown and 2 green, which is already pretty good. But that thing also adds a guaranteed 1 to 2 increase on Septium that you get from killing a monster. The benefit of it is orbital mechanics. I went and did some optimization of orbals. I know, crazy. I don't do this normally. I actually paid attention to the orbital system.
Whoa, shock.
Turns out green is like the greatest support color alongside black. So with respect to the whole of the colors, white and gold and black and green are kind of just support colors. White and gold don't really do anything on their own, but black and green can do things on their own. Black is straight up support. Green is like defensive support, but green can be used for every color to make better spells. So the benefit of Septium Vein is you can place it, and in the case of this, it's like 5 brown, 2 green. And just those 2 green alone upgrade like 4 different kinds of spells. So With this thing alone, I got Estelle the ability to make an earthquake that covers the entire map and does like 500 to 600 damage to everybody. It has unlimited range. So
Nice.
yeah. I just wanted to mention that quick. But yeah, sorry. Then we go to the orbital vein scanner, the first one.
Well, first, Russell says he wants us to set up 3 veins in 3 specific spots, and you can choose which one you go to first. And this is where I wrote down something power veins religion. That's why I didn't write down dragon veins specifically. That's why that confused me.
Yeah.
But Tita will be coming along with us to set these up because she can do it. And since Agate's here, you think, he'd be resistant to it, but yep, Agate is fine with her coming here. But makes a snide remark that if she but he makes a snide remark that if she did it alone, she wouldn't realize a monster has come until she was in their mouth. And then Tita goes, "But you'd save me if that happens, right?" It's like, a little cute back and forth.
I love their relationship. It gets a little weird for my side this chapter, but I'll talk about that later.
That seems funny.
Trails loves its incest.
What?
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Agate says something funny on my side. But
oh yeah,
yeah, get there. Hey, Alex, guess what?
what is it, Mr. Brandon, sir?
It's a party system. Whoa!
Yes! Oh my god! Who shall we bring?
Required party members are forced to be on the team for story events and whatnot. I figured this was going to happen eventually. I have some mixed opinions on it. It's like, oh, great, I can now build a party. But some
you can
characters
only swap out one character.
some characters will now just get sidelined, which makes sense. But it also is risks of like most of these characters are probably not gonna go off and leave like last game. So that's nice. You can actually like build a party.
There is also, however, the potential that the characters that can be sidelined for a given chapter will have not much to say.
Yeah,
which seems to be Olivier's curse in a lot of these chapters in both of these games. He has some sick lines, but they are very rare.
Yeah, I think. Who did I take with me?
I can go first while you think. I took Chloe, but I would like to point out, beyond making Chloe a shadow water caster, which is, I think, the optimal way of doing it, I would actually recommend taking Olivier. Tita has a healing ability, and so does Olivier, and those two get AoE healing abilities that are based off of CP, which means that Chloe is effectively fucking useless. And it's just better to have more AoE, which both Olivier and Tita do. And if you're properly killing shit, you'll never really need to heal, and if you do, just use any of the party members. You'll have enough blue, and you won't have enough party members. At some point, you might as well spend it on a specific party member. Chloe is just kind of pointless. She doesn't have enough anything to make her worthwhile, and she doesn't say anything, really.
Yeah, I took Chloe with me because her initial stuff and the stuff that I've given her has made her, I think, probably a permanent party member for me. If I remember correctly, it's been over a month since I last played the game. So I don't remember any of my setups or whatnot. But just know she was useful.
Yeah. For me, I couldn't figure out what to do with her.
I'm never having Tita in my party again. Like, Jesus Christ. It's the same
Really?
problem for me.
She was so powerful.
She sucked for me once again.
She single-handedly would do like 1,000 damage AoE and blind everybody, and then heal them the next turn.
Yeah, I'm not having Tita again at my parties.
You're crazy. You're absurd.
I'd much rather have other characters.
Even for the agate Tita combo?
Yeah,
Oh my god. I can't believe this.
I think I just don't like Tita.
She's so freaking cute.
My first stop
Where'd
was
you-
the fortress. Was that your first stop?
No, my first spot was the stone circle right next to the tetracyclic tower.
It's one of the spots is we go to some ruins that predate the ancient Zemurians to set up our weather vane. The veins in this area are strong, which might have been important to some religion a long time ago, like the Zemurian one. When we set the vein, or not the vein, the antenna. Two different things. It's not a weather vane. Be very fun setting up a weather vane on a vane.
The Tita specifically calls it a parabolic antenna, which is what got me curious.
Blue sheep meat things attack us, and we win them. And yeah, that was all for me for that scene. It was very
Okay.
like, there's lore stuff here. I don't know what to parse with this.
Are you ready, people? For it's my time to shine.
Come, lore master.
Gotcha. So, I'm going to go through this fast, so you guys better fucking keep up. A parabolic antenna, as stated by Tita, is an antenna that has a curved surface in the shape, or is an antenna that is attached to a curved surface that is in the shape of a parabola, so a dish in this case, a radar dish. This directs radar in a spotlight kind of fashion, or a flashlight, right? So wherever it points to, it kind of just like generally directs the radio waves in that orientation. The important thing about this is that they can they can work with either microwave, radio wave, or ultra high frequency wave spectrums. Now, there's some theory involving like a uniform circular aperture, which is just a flattened version, and how the radiation pattern goes along it. Basically, at a really high level, the radiation pattern is centered along the feed, which is the actual antenna itself. It sticks out and points back into the dish, and then uniformly sprays whatever photons or light or whatever thing you want to transmit onto the dish, and then that gets sent back outwards. The farther you are away from the center on a uniform circular one, that's called your loss edge. I don't fully remember all of this, but effectively it's just noise. You don't want that. You want to have a high co-parallelization, or a whatever the hell it's called. Again, this is very high level because I'm not going to go over all of this, and I'm not going to be really specific. Effectively, the thing that matters is that you have a lot of noise unless the wavelengths of the things you're transmitting are really small and have really high frequencies. So you could make the question of, well, if we're measuring septium veins, what kinds of wave could be produced from a septium vein that has a high frequency but a low wavelength? Now, there are specific ones that come immediately to mind, especially with the power generating nature of a septium crystal that has been processed. But unfortunately, gamma waves, which would indicate something like uranium or cesium or whatever the hell, that is too high of a frequency, meaning that the dish cannot transmit it. It just causes issues. As well, let's see here. Many of the other kinds of waves have the issue of just being too high energy or too high frequency, which has minimal cross polarization, which has more cross polarization, which is just noise. And in some cases too, when you're measuring anything in the ground, you'll have kilometer long wavelengths, which are terrible. So at the end of all of this, I effectively learned that what we're doing is this dish is sitting atop a tower. The tower projects energy downwards into the earth, I guess. And then it'll hit something that's conductive. And depending on the conductivity, it changes the way in which it reflects back, and the speed at which it reflects back, and the distance at which it can penetrate before reflecting back. So this whole process isn't measuring necessarily the material itself, but it's measuring the I guess, the conductivity of the material. But you can measure the material off of knowing what the conductivity is prior, which is more likely to be what this is. And it's effectively just saying this is where it is and this is how it's acting. So you can imagine, like, if the conductivity increases, it might have a different reading than if the conductivity decreases. And that conductivity could be represented more so as capacitance instead of conductivity, which is just, like, roughly speaking, how much charge it holds. So, and I'm not like an electrical engineer, so again, high level. What you can effectively do is you can measure, like, the energy level that exists within this vein or whatever. The issue is that this all works nice and dandy for just measuring that there is a material or measuring the conductivity of a material or what have you, but it doesn't measure earthquakes, meaning that what they're actually doing is black magic and nonsense, and I have no idea at the end of the day what the hell these things are. Because currently, they are quartz, they are some form of conductive alloy, without being an alloy, obviously, because they're not processed. And they're not radioactive. So we're getting closer, but we're not really sure what the hell this actually is. And that is the end of my rant. And we shall move on from there.
Coolio. My
yeah,
fellow dudes.
I basically did an absolute ton of lore to learn. I have no idea what this stuff is. Like a 2-hour deep dive. I had to open a textbook and go, okay, radar theory. Like, I had to do calculus.
I don't think they thought that in-depthly about it.
No, but it is surprising how in-depth they did think it through.
Anyways, my first stop was the fortress, where we go talk to two guys like, hey, can we sit down, Vane? Like, sure. And then we just go outside like the radiance. And it's like, stop, put down. And then the surprise visit from Cassius. Whoa, didn't think we'd see this dude again this early.
Yeah. He basically comes in, brags he's hot, and leaves. Like, because Estelle's like, oh my god, you look so good in that uniform. He's like, of course I do. I was a lady killer.
Apparently most of the army works in this fortress, or like...
No, the top brass does. So, like, all of, like, the big players of the army work in the fortress. Like, the commanders. Like, that's why General Morgan, Colonel Sid, and Cassius are all currently there.
Also, our Major Sid is now Lieutenant Colonel Sid already.
Yes.
Or
yeah, he
Colonel,
got
Lieutenant?
promoted when Cassius came in. Yeah, it's Colonel Lieutenant Sid. Yeah. He got promoted when Cassius came in because Morgan is leaving and Cassius is replacing him with Lieutenant Sid moving somewhere else.
In the military politics.
Woohoo!
Cassius has been put in charge of the whole army thanks to a little help from Morgan pushing that idea onto him.
Reed harassing him until he gave up.
Yeah. And due to the intelligence divisions, doing their thing, they have been light on resources to do actual investigation, which is very funny since, like, well, our investigation division kind of rebelled. So, hey, bracers, can you do it for us? It's like, so they're, as we already know, they're conducting the main investigation into Ouroboros and part of the army.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Atita says the professor has an unexpected hint for Cassius, whatever that means. I don't remember the context this is set in. It's just he has an unexpected hint for Cassius. I don't know for what.
And then she's just like, he'll come talk about it later. And Cassius is like, oh, cool. that's that.
Yep. And that's basically the scene. Agate is also, being Agate with Cassius. I didn't write anything down, but I just remember him being, little like, hey, old man, type energy to that. Do you have anything
Do you
else?
mind if I call dibs on the Chaldea Tunnel?
You can go for it, yes.
Okay, cool. So after doing this whole thing, assuming we're good.
Yeah.
Alright. So, for me, my second device was placed at the end of the Chaldea Tunnel. Nothing happens on the way, you just fight shit. Except there is a closed off area. You can't go meet the Emperor Penguin from the last game because the whole thing's locked off because the monsters are apparently too bad. So, that
I
sucks.
mean,
There's
to
a
be fair-
chest back there. I have no idea how the hell I'm going to get it, but there's a chest back there.
To be fair, they are very dangerous. They almost one-shot me first time I went in there.
For me, they were hilarious and I loved them. So this is when it gets a little gross. Or cute, depending on your opinion. I'm not sure how I feel. So, let's see. After placing the radar, we re-meet up with both Agate and Annalise, for me, because it was with Shara.
And then for me, it's Sharon and Elise.
Yeah. Agate calls Tita short stuff, which I wrote down here is absolutely what I would do myself. And I also adopted calling a short friend of mine literally this just recently, which was fun. She was not impressed. And then, of course, Annalise looks at Tita and squeals and has her little moment. I wrote, oh god, Annalise is a cute enthusiast and Tita's adorable. We're doomed.
Annalise sees Tita and she's like, cute thing, I must hug.
Exactly. Tita's all down for it, though. And then it turns out they're on guild business. And specifically, the intelligence division and the Sky Bandits are in the area, which is neat. So they came down here for that reason. Then, I'm not sure how to feel about this, because you could take it two ways. And I'm going to pretend innocence and take it the one way. But they lean it the other. After Agate and Annalise leave, Tita starts spacing out. And Estelle's like, hey, what's up? And Tita's like, oh, I didn't realize Agate had a girlfriend. And Shara then... I specifically wrote, either she's jealous that Agate has a girlfriend, or she is worried. It's anime, it could be either or. And then Estelle and Shara both team up to explain that it's normal for bracers to split up and like go and do stuff together. And Tita calms down and says, oh, that's okay, I guess. And Estelle's like, oh, poor girl, it's probably not to you. So that's lovely. Great to know that that's happening again. Whoever wrote this game needs to put their head in a block of ice or something. Regardless, I guess it's now a side plot that either Tita is worried, which I prefer, or has a crush, which is weird.
And that shows up neither on my playthrough. And I've already described Agate Tita dynamic on my side.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it's just worry.
Yeah, I wonder when they're gonna converge, because like that will not show up in main plot ever. Potentially.
Yeah.
On my side, basically Agate's like, if you ever need assist, say, I don't know who says it, but like call if they need assistance and vice versa. And then Agate's like, now I know you two. I forget the specific name, but so it's like he does it in a caring way, but also feels weird. It's like, now I know you're two women. Go in.
It's already starting off perfectly. Go ahead.
Go in by yourself. Just, I guess, be careful or something like that. There could be big scary monsters or something. I don't remember it, but he does that in a good way? Question mark.
Yeah, Agate once again showing he is just the modern feminist man.
Yeah, it was so. I was like, bro, she's a C rank bracer. Chill. I don't even know what rank you are.
Is he A or B?
He could be, but still, to like a C rank bracer, that's just disrespectful.
It is. It's awful.
And now that all three of the weather vanes are up and running, we head over to the computer room in the central factory where Murdoch and Russell are. Russell has hooked up the Capel, the big supercomputer, to notice if there's any disturbances in the veins. And they start talking about engineers need some prayer too.
Yeah, they specifically are like, um, wait, oh, is this at the end or not?
It's like in the middle.
Yeah, so he first turns on the one. It's like, this is great. Then he turns on two at the same time. He's like, this is fantastic. And as a software engineer, I have to say, my very first thought is that wouldn't fucking happen. Like, there's no way all of this would work at once. And then, did you skip the veins actually becoming active?
No, not
Alright,
yet.
continue then.
Yeah, they just say it's like, why do you need a pray to Eidos? It's like, didn't you make this? It's like, we all need some prayer to, hope to God this works sometimes. And then
I think they specifically say, like, if an earthquake messes up the thing, it's done. If the earthquake hits too close, they're done. If somebody breathes on it wrong, it's done.
Yeah,
if somebody can break the radars, it's done.
It's a very finicky thing, but luckily, immediate alarm goes off and pinpoints the earthquake at the fortress. And apparently, this is a big one. I can't remember. Like, I know, like, the room was flashing red as like alert, alert. I don't think it like hit any of like the city. It was just a really big one at the fortress to like a dangerous level. And then we have a scene where somehow Cassius like just predicts that.
I know, it's three dudes while an earthquake is going on just talking about, oh my god, Cassius, you're so smart. Well, you see, I had this plan all along. It's elementary, my dear Morgan. He's like, I've got to learn from you. Meanwhile, the entire screen is shaking. It's just like...
It's so... Specifically what he does is just orders a work stoppage at the port, so like no one is working while this is going on. It's very funny.
It's so funny. It's just old guys playing detective. Like,
but it becomes clear at this point that it seems like someone is controlling the Septian veins to create earthquakes from a specific location, and through like a pinpoint accuracy, like
some sort
multiple
of
choice
data triangulation.
At first, I thought it was like the tower itself. I thought that was the location because I thought that made like sense. But apparently, it was from Elmo Village.
Well, she gives you the coordinates.
Yeah, I'm not. There's no coordinates on the map, so like
it went from like Y. It's like in the Y and X, which is weird too, because she's just like, it's east and it's north, and that's 135 something or other. And then she's like, this one's negative something or other and something or other, but like a little farther over. I was like, if it's negative and that's why, I guess it's like, what, Elmo? And it's like, yeah. I was like, cool. And I looked at my guide and it's like, choose Elmo. I was like, cool. Got it.
Yeah, I just laid off vibes. Because there's no like a measurement thing on the map.
It would be cool if it was the tower, though. Like, Dude Man was standing at the top of the thing, causing earthquakes.
Yeah, that's
what
I
that tower
thought.
is just like completely useless. Like it's an optional thing you can do for fun, and that's it. You can't even hit the top of it. You just go through it, gather some loot, and leave.
Yeah, I don't think I even went there for any side quests or anything.
Nope.
Cassius, nope. Or he went there. Boo. And then we go immediately to the village where it seems the hot spring water is boiling over. I think, and there's also like sulfur in the air. Or something.
Well, they
like
specifically
that.
So Tita says that the water is so hot and getting so much hotter that the town itself may be unlivable. So this water is so hot that the town might need to be evacuated from a single source of water in the center of the thing.
I remember there's something about sulfur. I don't know if that was last game or this game, but I remember there was like they were talking about sulfur or something, what or another, coming out as like a potential like harmful thing, or it was starting to smell like sulfur.
I don't remember something like that, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't have it written down, but Miss Mao, the innkeeper, suspects that something has changed at the source of the hot spring. So she gives us a key to get into the cave spring for us to check it out. And I guess at this point, this might be a good time to talk about the side quest since we're gonna enter into the final dungeon.
Do you want me to just cruise through them quick?
Any that you seem interesting enough to talk about.
Okay, well, the stolen... We have basically, what, one, two... I think there's three. Stolen sign, you find a sign. Wow, it's a Bracers Guild sign.
But
Wait.
it is funny immediately after the first chapter is like once you arrive in Zeiss, it's like the Phantom Thief is at work again stealing the sign. And
Yeah, he's just being a tool.
and okay, so there's some kind of insane things. He kind of just leaves like messages around town for us to find for stuff. And one of his messages is in Capel itself. It's like, here's this message, and then immediately after reading the message, it self deletes itself. It's like, how did you get in here, my dude? What? How did you get a thing that just self deletes in the system? Did he just compromise the system this easily?
This is before operating system level security, my guy. He probably just walked in and just pressed some keys.
But then the message also self deleted itself right afterwards.
Yeah. Dude's a programmer. I don't know what to say.
But yeah, that part I found kind of insane and funny.
I was gonna reread everything that was in the Capel during that, but I was so tired that I remember just going, "I'm not gonna bother." Like, if something's new, I wouldn't even know.
I looked briefly at like one and it was like the same, so
Yeah.
probably is all the same.
But beyond that, nothing really happens. A more interesting side quest. Since we're at the Maple Inn, roughly, we're at Elmo. There's a point where the Maple Inn is having a peeping Tom. So effectively, Miss Mao, the owner of the Maple Inn, is like, "Hey, we've got a potential creep, so bring on some people." And I, with the old girl party, was like, "Perfect, we'll catch the creep." So we all get over there. And one of the first things that happens is that Shara is just like, "Oh yeah, I have a plan. We're all gonna get butt fucking naked and go and catch the peeping Tom by being in the thing."
Agate has the same plan.
And Estelle, at first, Estelle's like, "That's a terrible idea. Why would you do that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that is a terrible idea because Tita's here and she's like 7. So go Estelle. Like, stop using child as bait." And then later on, it turns out it's like, no, Estelle was talking about Chloe because she's a princess and shouldn't be seen naked. And then Tita's brought up, and it's like, "Tita, are you okay with this?" And Tita's like, "Yeah, I want a bath with my big sister." And it's like, so I wrote, and you can quote me on this, "This is completely fucked," and at least the girls feel relaxed. Gross.
Yeah, and also in my thing, Agate's just kind of there as well.
Yeah, they also briefly mention like, "Oh, Olivier isn't here. He would love to see this." And I'm like, again, Tita's here. She's 7. Fucking gross. Then, interestingly, I think Estelle brings up a romantic connection between Olivier and Shara. So she's like, "Hey, so you know how you're always flirting with Olivier?" And she's like, "Yeah." And Estelle's like, "Well, is there something there? Would you tell me?" And Shara's like, "No, there's not. And yes, I would." And Estelle's like, "Well, you always act like you got a secret. So what's up with that?" And Shara's like, "I can't tell you that. It's confidential. But yeah, no, we're sharing a secret, but it's not what you think it is." And Estelle's like, "Oh." Then it later on is revealed that the thing that was peeping, I say thing, it was sheep. Because the sheep in this world are just like monkeys, I guess. I don't know. Like they're always causing shit. So you get out of it, the bath, you chase down these sheep, and they're like all in this like weird power-up animation. I was like, what's happening? And I'd use like arts canceling, and I'd be like, what's going on? And then they merge together into one mega sheep.
Yeah, mega sheep.
With like weird tail arms.
And it's really funny because then it just becomes so much easier to get it.
Yeah.
It's just one big.
And so I whooped their butt, and that was that.
Yeah.
And then there's one other side quest that's worth talking about, and it's because of one specific reason. You have to find shit in a factory. All 8 pieces of some ornament thing.
Fat.
It's really boring and really annoying, but the best part is you get to see Antoine again, the cat, in the medical center, and you go in there and you just take the orbital metal thing from him, and Antoine's like, "Aw." And I was like, I've done this so much with my real cat. Like, I'm gonna take your toy because it's bad for you and we need it, and you can't break it. But I'll come back with a new one. And the cat just looks at you like, why have you hurt me so?
You know how we were talking about key items and how they might be, that could be kind of fun and useful for future. This is where the resources have gone for this. Here's a radar. You click on it. Is an item in this area? No. Search again. I found 3 things. I was like, oh, are you sure? There's more. I was like, no. Give me the reward. I'm out of here. And
I thought it would have been fine if the rewards were like, or if like when you scanned it, you like pressed a button, but you have to go to your menu, scan over to items, then go to the item, then click on the item, then say use, then you get a yes or no, or warmer or colder, and then you move over like an inch, and then you go back into your equipment. You have to go all the way back to your items, then click on your items, then go to that item, then press use, and then it does it again. It's like, oh. You can do it quick, but it's painful.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not wasting my time with that.
Yeah, I did it, and I have 100-something bracelet points as a result, but it's not worth it.
Well, you had a guide. You know where everything was. I didn't.
I didn't use the guide during this quest.
Then what's the point of the guide?
To make sure that I get everything in time. Because last game, I missed a quest.
Side quests are sure thing here.
And there's none others worth talking about.
Besides the gun one that we were talking about. And I think I forgot
which is literally
all the rest.
just like, you literally go back to the gun thing. And he's like, cool, thanks.
Oh,
and Estelle's like, give me more fucking shoes, please. And he's like, well, the people heard your compliments and were like, they were thinking of making a Bracers Guild shoe. And Estelle's like, yes. And he's like, oh. And she's like, do it. He's like, oh, okay. And that's it.
The only other side quest that's just interesting is or a tidbit that we just came up in the story is you gotta train some of the army members, and then Major Sid, now Colonel Lieutenant Sid, fight. So you get a Sid
Commander
fight.
Sid.
Yeah, and that's really
sorry. I just got his title here, so I was like, we finally fixed it. It's Lieutenant Commander Sid. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, and that's really it. That's the only it was neat fighting against that dude. It was kind of annoying, that fight. I was like, 3 fights in a row where you can't heal. Great.
Mm-hmm. And then he apparently has this super mega attack that absolutely obliterates your party if you let him go off. So I had 4 separate people just constantly arts canceling him. So he never.
Yeah, I never.
Off.
If the big dude's trying to arts, I'm gonna cancel that. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who else is there, what else I'm fighting. The big guy's gonna stop his art now.
Yes.
It's just how things go here.
Yeah. So we get into the water, I guess, cave dungeon.
Back to the cave.
Back to the cave. The main gimmick here is water sprouts will come up and hit you. If they hit you, you take some damage, procedural damage on the map.
And that's literally it. That's the whole dungeon. There's no puzzles or anything. There are monsters, but the monsters are rocks that sit there that you can just walk around.
Yeah, you can get through this place really. This is not a dungeon. This is like a few
No.
hallways.
Yeah.
And I was slightly annoyed before the boss fight. It was like, oh, they don't give you a place to heal. Apparently, no, there is. It's
Yeah,
the
to the
big.
south there's a bath, and everybody's like, "Oh, this water's perfect." In the middle of this giant hellscape, let's soak our feet, and you can get up to 200 CP, get all your health healed, and there's a chest there, and I did that.
Yeah, I just. It's right in front of the boss door as well, and it's like that's so annoying because like I didn't know about that. I just saw that and was like, okay. And
So I
well,
gotta
it doesn't give you
explore.
like a warning. I was expecting like a save point before like the boss because that's what's happened every time beforehand.
I
But
kind of prefer this. I think it's a nice little bit of spice.
it is, but like there's like no warning before you go into like the main room, so I kind of started at a disadvantage. It's annoying. But here we finally get to interesting stuff. Woo! It's been so long. We get the best part of the chapter, sadly.
Yeah. And it starts with what else but tentacles?
Yeah, I guess.
Like weird glowy space tentacle things.
You find a man with sunglasses in the middle of the core of the spring.
It's the fuck boy.
It's the dude. His name is Walter the Direwolf. He's enforcer number
Again,
8.
I'd like to point out that Trails has the worst naming for their big bad guys. We have a Lawrence and a Walter.
And
Walter.
this dude looks so much like Rude if it weren't for the weird hairstyle. It's like yellow.
It's red.
Is it red
Yeah,
or
it's
yellow?
full blown red. It's like red orange. Yeah.
It's orange. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's such like a pro. Why is he? He would look so better bald. Just
Brandon has never seen a ginger in his life.
no, it's just the hair just doesn't fit him.
I think it's cool.
I don't know.
Dude,
Also,
he's a fuck you kind of guy, and he's got giant flaming red hair, of course. I love him.
he's also enforcer number 8, the Direwolf. We'll get into that a little bit later. And
Yeah.
some
'Cause he does some terrible things.
well, not that I have some what's the best word for it? Not issues, just grievances that I want to get out there in the world. Anyways, he was asked by the org to test the golem, what the gospel, test the gospel reaction to the veins. He was disappointed that there wasn't enough power to knock over buildings, so people could go shmoosh.
Well, in particular, he says he wants people to be like living on the edge in adrenaline. And Tita's like, but that's awful. You'll hurt people. And he's like, oh, I'll do more than that.
I'll do
I
more-
want to see them. I want to see their arms break. I want their legs to snap. I want their heads to fall as a piece of building collapses upon them, crushing their skull and their brain oozing out. Maybe I'll do that to you, little girl.
Yeah, Burr's like, I'll smash your head in, Tita. That'd be fun.
Yes. Jesus Christ.
His whole motto of life is he wants a little spice. He wants a little spice in life, a daredevil, if you will. Apparently he led us here on purpose to kill us. Okay. Apparently he planned out like the whole like, oh yes, they'll see my weather veins and whatnot. And I guess the Elmo Village shenanigans, I guess. And then he just sticks a bunch of worms on us.
Yeah, he's like testing us or something because it's like, oh, I'm so strong, I don't have to fight you guys. And he's like, go, my minions. And then giant wormies pop out. They're
Yeah.
gross, but they're like pathetically weak.
I actually kind of struggled with the worms just
Really?
due to yeah, I think I had
What
like
level were you?
I don't know. But
I was
was
50 with everybody at this point.
probably lower than that. because I didn't do everything. And I started avoiding fights because it's like, Jesus, there's too many here. Yeah, I don't really remember it. I just remember it being a very slow fight.
Yeah, so the worms, what they do is they spawn. There's like 6 of them, with some little like boys or whatever that just like flip and flap around. The boys don't really do much, and the worms don't do much either. They go like step by step by step towards you. Once they get close enough, they just cause earthquakes across the entire ground, and they hit everybody for like 1,000 over and over and over and over again. And occasionally they can poison a specific person. But what I did was, because I had 200 CP on everybody, I just instantly murked 2 of them. And then as they got closer, I used Chloe to heal everybody up instantly. And then I just spammed all of Estelle's spinny moves. And she just like whirlwind topped them all down. And then that was that. That was the fight for me.
Yeah, for me, I didn't have the luxury of having all that because I didn't stop by the thing. So I didn't have full health in the fight. So that's fun. So I had to scrap that together. So that took a bit. But anyways, we beat them. And then...
Yep. Then he's just like, pathetic. I thought you were stronger than this. And then just fucking like Kame smacks us up across the head and knocks the entire party out.
He punches the ground, causing an explosion that knocks us all down. Just punches the ground. Then he says that Louis was saying that the Divine Blade wasn't the only one in Liberal to give him a run for his money, and he feels
the Serpent's Fang. It's not the Divine Blade. He doesn't threaten Cassius. He threatens Joshua. I was confused on this too.
No. That's not it. He's what Walter's saying in the scene is like, Louis was saying that Cassius wasn't the only one in town to give you problems, and you should look out for this group of bracers. And he feels a little disappointed, and is like, you may be weak, but I kind of want to hunt that Fang boy. He seems like fun. And then Estelle just gets up suddenly. It's like, hey, fuck you, fight me.
Yeah. And she's just like the power of horny, and she stands up on her 2 feet, like barely struggling, and he's like, "Oh, you want to fight me, girly?" And she's like, "I'll beat you right here, right now, you bitch." And he just starts walking up, and he's just about to actually just kill her. And then zip zap out of the corner.
He says he's called the dire. I don't know if he says this or if I just made this up. He's called the dire wolf because he can beat women and children just as easily as men. Man, he's so progressive.
That, yeah. I get him must get along quite nicely.
Well, there's someone else who's going to get really nice with him. But before anything becomes anything of that, either a bird or a laser shot interrupts them. Woohoo! Depending on if you took Olivier or Chloe.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because I saw it in playthrough that I was watching to recap. They chose to take Olivier with them, so the C comes in.
Came and saved us.
Yeah.
Yeah. In both our playthroughs, we got Kamehameha'd, and that's what saved us.
Yeah.
Dude came out with an energy blast.
Yeah. And then Zin comes in. Whoa, it's Zin. And then starts to do like multi-kicks in midair at Walter. And then Walter just parries them. And then they start to kind of have like a face down. It seems like they both
have a Jedi moment.
Yeah. Literally.
You're supposed to be part of the good side. And he's like, I would never be part of the good side. And they're like, oh, but the girl, she's here. And he's like, oh, the girl? No. And Zin's like, yeah, she was wandering, but she settled in the Bracers Guild. She's a receptionist now. And Walter's like, oh. And Zin's like, you could go say hello to her. You know, the power of horny can save you. And he's like, no, I'll never submit to the horny. And then he's like, I'll fucking kill you if you mention anything weird. And he's like, you could become a good guy. Stop this forever. And then Zin gets a fucking backhanded slap. And then Dude Man's like, I told you if you say anything weird, I'll kill you. It's the dumbest.
So it seems that Walter and Zin have known each other from training under the same master. Walter he says he's been having a blast since joining the organization. Much better than training. And Zin mentions that Kilka says that she still wants to see him, and Walter has some pause, and then it's like, and it seems like they're pretty close. Than when you first would think, and then Walter kicks Zin in the head or something. Takes his orb and then pieces out later. And now time for me to get mad.
Go
So
ahead.
this is the most obvious, like, I want to be strong character I've seen. I want to be strong. I will crush you. Justice, not chariot, not strength, justice. It's like chariot. He could have just. He's just a 7. I don't know how. I just feel. I feel cheated.
But he's the 8, sire. He's the 8.
He's the 8. So gotta somehow figure out how he fits within. This is like the most, like, I would need to know more about this dude than, like, on first.
I mean, it's literally
reflection.
power. Like, it's strength, the tarot card.
Yeah, but but this is justice. His thing is justice, which
Isn't he 8?
he's 8, which is justice.
It's
Chariot
strength.
Chariot is 7. Strength is 11 or 12. Justice is number 8.
Strength is traditionally the 11th card, and Justice the 8th. But the influential Rider-Waite-Smith deck switched the position of these two cards in order to make them a better fit with the astrological correspondences worked out by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, under which the 8th card is associated with Leo and the 11th with Libra. The switch was originally suggested in the mysterious cipher manuscripts, which formed the basis for the Golden Dawn's teachings regarding tarot and other subjects. Today, many divinatory tarot decks use this numbering, particularly in the English-speaking world.
Oh, that is so annoying. Oh my god, that is really that's really annoying. So, like, the one that I'm traditionally used to is having justice as number 8 and then having strength at number 11. But on Wikipedia, the main one, they have them switched, which also it has a tarot card of, like, the House of God, which I've never seen. I'm used to like the Rider White deck. So, well, I guess I'll go through my justice talk to see how
did you have a whole talk about justice? Just
well, just a quick thing of, like, what it could mean, and then might do a quick thing on strength. I mean, so I guess I will do a quick thing on strength. Strength doesn't necessarily mean, like, outward strength. It means, like, inner strength. The chariot is outward strength from what I've read on it. So it, even in that sense, I still feel like he's a chariot in, like, how outwardly aggressive and, like, his drive for power, because strength comes from, like, an inner strength within the person, and, like, for,
yeah, it
like,
used to be
betterment.
called fortitude.
Yeah, so,
And that's
like,
a better representation of the card in English-speaking terms.
yeah, so, like, I disagree. It makes a lot more strength sense if he's, like, strength in, like, this in this deck, but I'd still think he much better fits the stereotype of, like, a chariot type thing, with how, like, how obsessed with power he is. But I guess it's also interesting for if he's also the justice, because there's either two meanings to justice: is either to be judge, or the search for, or, like, the truth. Justice often appears when you need to make an important choice with a potential for long-term repercussions, or it could be like a justice is about the search for truth. As you explore the truth, you'll discover things that are not as clear cut as you thought. A reverse meaning means you're not willing to take full accountability for your actions, and you may try to dodge the bullet and blame others for your mistakes. And like reverse also has like you're being dishonest with yourself and others, and your unwillingness to look beyond your own fears, and ego blinds you to like broader lessons and that. So like he still, I feel like, fits that archetype where he's very like set focused in like this mindset, because like it also I think fits with like truth within like, you know, like the traditional like I study under the master and then we go off to find our own truths, in a sense. That whole like kind of like yin and yang of like two disciples under one master, and then one disciple kills the master. It's like, I have succeeded the master and whatnot. It's like, how could you? And like that type of thing. So he's definitely like if he would be justice, definitely reversed. If he's strength, I don't know the reverse meaning of strength. Okay, yeah, not reverse strength at all. It's basically like lacking in self-confidence. And I don't think this dude is lacking in anything. This dude is outward as fuck. So if he were strength, he would definitely be face side up, which still is like dubious, but like if they're going with strength, they're going with strength.
Yeah.
I think justice makes more sense than strength in this context, which is funny, given his whole thing.
Yeah.
Or at least
it
my
really feels like
interpretation
they
of it.
just read the tin of strength and were like, yeah, that counts. And then they never went any farther than that.
Which is so insane, because like Chariot's right there. It just fits him so well.
Yeah, but you also have to remember, like, these are typically English depictions or French depictions or whatever, right? So you're not really going to get Japanese-speaking people being able to interpret these very easily.
I mean, Persona series does it pretty well, but that's their whole shtick.
Yeah, but that's a big, huge company, too, compared to the Trails
Atlas,
people.
Atlas and Falcom are like the same level.
Really?
Yeah, they're both double A.
It's
just
well,
now
I guess it's just generally disappointing.
It's just Atlas is now like a subsidiary of Sega. So now they have like that type of funding ever since like 2010 ish. So technically part of a larger company, but like themselves is like fairly small. But like they're Atlas is getting up there to like almost AAA. But definitely have budget stuff. Well, but yeah, that's the Terra segment, and so much more confusing. And I hate that they just switched that the modern deck just switches those two for like seemingly like just a random reason in the part of the journey. We head back to the guild, and somehow Kittlecast suspects it was Walter from the beginning. How?
Yeah, she was just like, oh yeah, I know that one of my terrifying friends is in part of this. Hey, small 7-year-old child, go deal with that for me, will you? I'm not going to give you a heads up. What a dick.
What? Yeah, and Walter, Zin, and Kelka were all students of a master Ryuga of martial arts. But it seems like they don't say it outright, but it seems like Kelka was the daughter of said master or something like that. But it's like she says her part doesn't matter in this. It's very, I guess, an Asian sentiment in a sense. Like, oh, I don't matter in this affair. I don't know.
Yeah, sounds about right. Either that or she's just doing the very Western perspective of like, please God, don't let them know my secret.
Well, it's kind of a little bit of that, but we get a little bit more of a timeline of 6 years ago. Walter left the dojo and was recruited by Ouroboros shortly after. Not given reason why, because obviously that's something we gotta figure out. And then we finally conclude that the Gospels have the ability to massively increase the capacity of other orbital devices, which has become very obvious due to earthquakes. And they also conclude that Ouroboros is using their own factory to produce the orbs.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
they say specifically the Verne Company in Calvard, the Reinford Company in the Empire, the two other famous factories that are apparently on par with the Zeiss Central Factory, were completely incompetent regarding making this specific kind of technology. Like, they're not at that level. So there's just some other factory now.
Or like, because like what Louis and like the dude said that there's like the 13 factories or something like that.
Yeah. Bless you.
Thanks. Now Russell or Murdoch, I forget who was there, said they will use all the resources to study this gospel now.
Yeah, Murdoch says that, and Russell's like, "Of course I will." So, like, I think the joke is like Murdoch going like, "We'll use all the resources at hand," and Russell's like, "Yes, I am all the resources at hand."
Resources? I'm resources.
Yeah, I am everything. Russell, 2024.
I mean, he could run for. He could run for it.
We go and get told by Kalika, "Hey, Cassius requested you by name in the Royal Armed Forces to go to Grancel. So much like the last game, you are going to continue the same path of Bose to, or was it Bose or Rouen? I think it's Rouen to Zeiss to,
Grand
because I think Bose is where you start. Yeah, so it's Rouen to Zeiss to Grancel, which is the exact same thing as last time.
Except we skipped Bose in the process.
Yes, which I'm assuming is where we're going to start. Technically, we did start at Bose, though, because she went all the way back to Bose. We just didn't stay there. Regardless. Then Zin latches to us instantly. And then Tita gets confirmation from Russell that, yeah, she can come along. And then Chloe's like, actually, it might even be safer for her to come along. And then Tita's just like, yes! And then I'm like, yes! And then we go and we leave. And that's it. That's the chapter.
One thing is in my thing is Agate is now fine with this and promises Russell to keep his granddaughter safe, and everyone, including me, is shocked that Agate is okay with this. And Agate's reasoning for this is like similar to all this, but it's like it's safer due to the previous actions of the enforcers not caring about civies. And it's like I feel like you're kind of just bringing her into more danger more often.
Well,
than,
Chloe
like,
has the same interpretation because it's like, well, if they're going to be hunting out people who wronged them, she's right here. Nobody's going to be able to defend her except maybe herself.
Okay, I guess yeah, that makes more
So
sense.
it's like, you can kind of treat her like a criminal in the eyes of the intelligence division or whatever, or Ouroboros, any of those people. So it's like, yeah,
Well, the
she's got a bunch of
intelligence
enemies
division
on her back.
doesn't.
No, the
I
intelligence
think-
division is just kind of in a bit of a state. I did forget to mention, but we'll talk about that in the next section with the post-chapter cutscene.
Yeah. And then one final send off to this chapter is Olivier saying to Agate, "You trying to be a white knight, my dear Raven?" And Agate's like, "Shut the fuck up, man." and then it ends.
Yeah. And then it starts again because we have a post-chapter cutscene.
Yeah,
Yay.
I didn't write any of this.
Basically, I'm going to do this really quick because a bunch of nothing happens. We
We
cut
get
to
cool
Lyston
battles,
Fortress.
Alex. What do you mean?
Yeah. Whoa. We cut to Lyston Fortress. The maintenance crew ship lands. Gustav comes out with Faye, and they wander on over to the Arseal. Turns out the Arseal managed to avoid the earthquake, but still has some repairs that needs to get done. So this crew has been called in to go and clean it up and get it ready. I believe it's Lieutenant Commander Sid who brings out and is just like, hey, yeah, this is what's happening. Hey, but while you're here, do you want to see something? And Gustav's like, hell yeah. And Faye's like, hell yeah. And so they all wander off. Cut to black. Fade back in. Morgan, fuck tons of soldiers, are standing in awe at Lieutenant Schwartz and Cassius about to duke it out. And Cassius is just like, huzzah, you can't beat me. And Lieutenant Schwartz is like, why can't I beat you? And Cassius, while fighting, is like, no, you're not doing this right. No, you're not doing this right. That's too easy. You're being dumb here. And she's just getting mocked. She doesn't get a single hit in. Cassius hits her 3 times and she's out. And at the very end, Morgan's just like, oh, congratulations. Even I can barely beat him. And Cassius is like, yeah, she's growing up really fast. She's gotten really better. And Lieutenant Schwartz is like, I'm a failure. And then Sid comes up and congratulates. And then everybody leaves. And Morgan is like, okay, fine. I guess a little. We need to talk about the fly on the wall here, the elephant in the room. We're going to need the Bracers Guild to investigate on behalf of us because you're too busy. He's too busy, and I'm about to retire. And Cassius is like, oh, Morgan, are you starting to rely on the Bracers more? And he's just like, shut up. And then we cut outside of the fortress, and fucking K-pop girl, Miss Pinky herself, is fucking bent over, staring down like, oh ho ho, I'm gonna free my boy, who's apparently, I guess, in Leiston Fortress. So
I mean,
she's
there's,
just
I mean, like,
The intelligence division will ride again.
if you think about like the previous time we were in Zeiss, you remember all those like cells? It's basically like the main prison.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. It's
Here.
like this is where the big bad boys go.
I don't know if it's just the big bad boy. I think just anybody in Zeiss area.
That's not true because maybe in the Zeiss area, but remember this is off in Grencel that they technically got arrested. And
Yeah.
the Sky Pirates got arrested in I think Rouen or Beauce.
It was both.
It was-
It's
it
like
was-
the main people from it. I just mean like in terms of like jailing because I don't think there's like I don't know the
Well, there's a jail in Rouen because that's where Olivier is.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a jail in Rouen because that's where Olivier is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they have like holding like cells. Oh yeah. Forgot about that. But yeah, since I didn't write any of this down, I forgot that she was there. Because it's been so long. The line of like I'll do it for you, Richard, or something like that was very funny.
She is just a simp.
She's unironically, oh my lord.
Yeah, literally. It's awful.
So funny. And then it ends.
End scene. And that's this chapter.
Thank God.
Yeah, this chapter was, to put it bluntly, boring.
I think it's just straight up bad.
I don't know if
Besides,
it's
like,
bad. I think it's definitely boring.
Like the only thing that I found interesting was like the whole Zen Walter dynamic that happens for like 20 minutes and then it ends. And it's just I'm very sick of like the whole like, oh, we're gonna investigate this place. We go to area B, then area A, then area C. Then we go to big dude. And it's like, okay, I guess this is the structure of the game. The next area we go to, there's going to be a place where we got to go to 3 places and go to this thing. And then this structure is eventually going to break off by the last few chapters. Because we made a lot, we want to use a lot of our resources, but don't know how to use it properly, like the first game. Because like the first game,
we got more money for, I guess, like extra mechanics and to refine parts of the combat system, and we're not going to put any of it into the game design whatsoever.
Yeah, it's they masquerade under investigating, but it's just going like back and forth between stuff and just talking to people about like just roundabout information. It's like, oh, you go here, you get information about this and this. Like the ghost thing, at least had like the disguise of like, ooh, this is a mystery type thing.
But they
But
don't give you enough information to solve it on your own, so it just ends up being like,
but it gives you the vibe at least. It's like, oh, there's a ghost. There's of like that. This is just like investigate earthquake. There's a guy with a sunglasses. Okay, this is the dude. There's no mystique of like who could have done this. It's just this dude did it. Go
Yeah.
find out where this dude is, essentially.
yeah.
And that's the whole thing. We
And
don't
that,
even
ladies
get
and gentlemen, is chapter 2.
it's just a whole pile of nothing with
Yeah.
just a few fun scenes of like with returning characters, but then like with Tina and Russell, it's just kind of bogged down by like, oh, here's the thing we did in Ruan. Joy. Here's
Yeah.
information. Here's exposition going back and forth between each other, saying nothing of real importance. And yeah, I don't like this chapter. I don't. The side quests as well have been just like
The side quests were
wow.
more interesting than the base, which I think is a sign that you messed
I
something
did.
up
I
a
didn't
little
like.
bit.
There was fun.
They just had
bits.
something. That was the thing. They had something. Like I really enjoyed the Elmo sequence, as weird as it was with Tita. But they're all in towels or whatever, and it's actually all fairly innocent because the monster is just a monster. So
It was fun with the monster, but still, just for me, it was eye rolling. It's like, we really got to do this. Okay. This
by the
is-
way, the monsters were sheep again. These sheep are randy little fuckers. They're out for blood.
I doubt it's gonna get any better. Next chapter, it's gonna be the same thing.
We'll see. I'm hoping there's more lore, especially in Grencell.
I
Trails,
I'm
you can quote me on this
doubting
5 Ways to Sunday. Trails is always the best when the characters are yapping and the gameplay is on the sidelines. It's a better visual novel than it is an actual game.
it's not even the game aspect. It was purely the story this time that made me like not.
Yeah, I know
this.
there was no story. There was none. So I totally understand.
It's just the way that it was told because I didn't really have a problem with the gameplay. It was just. Ugh. And I
But I
doubt it's
guess,
gonna get any better till end game where it starts getting more interesting.
We'll tell you what. We'll probably let the lovely people listening know when we get there.
Yeah.
So, I think we've covered basically everything today. Is there anything else that we have yet to talk about?
No.
Then I guess we should probably leave it here, maybe. And then see the lovely people in the next chapter.
Yeah.
Which is, I believe, called... Drum roll. Oh god, type quicker. It's right. It's almost. Come on. 1 second. Don't you click away. 1 second. 1 second. The Mad Tea Party, which I'm stoked for.
It's called the Mad Tea Party. Oh man, we're gonna get like a Mad Hatter type character.
I'm pretty confident it's going to be the kid this time. It's either going to be the little kid or it's going to be the kid that we've seen talk to Leslie. But anyway, until then, I guess we'll see you, or you'll listen to us later. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.